Alright, we've got our plate here. This is one, like I said, I'm going to put up the side, which is up there. Now at the moment I've actually marked it, so I'm marking all the holes. Now putting 4 holes in there, and it's being everything's measured from this particular side. So the first one's at 17.88, I've got another hole at 66.47, another one 115.74, the other one's 164.1. Now what I'll be doing is, that'll be going on this side. Now I'm going to drill the holes initially, and then I'm going to elongate them, because then it can be moving left to right. And then once that's done, then I'll have to flip it over on the other side, which is the face on this side. And then I'm not sure whether I'm going to have 3 or 4 bolt holes in it, because that's what's going to be holding my vertical piece of alloy. And so what will happen is, as I go up and down, with all things being well and equal, it won't move. So that's part of the aluminium bar, and that'll actually be sitting up on the side of the machine, which I'll show you as we progress. And I'll be drilling 3 or 4 holes in this area here, and that'll be bolted up. Then it'll actually slide up and down in a bushing mechanism, which will be Delaron or something similar. So other than that, also drilling a few holes. So I'll actually pile it, and then I'll take them out to was 10mm holes, which is what, around about 3/8 mark, something like that, or 7/16, something like that anyway. But like I said, they'll all be 10mm. Always check the drill, make sure it's going to turn round, and that's so it's not offset accidentally. So you see that's nice and straight. It doesn't go in the chuck straight, it'll sort of wobble everywhere. And I'm just putting light pressure there, because I'm only holding the directly on the back, so I don't want it to move. And so just to show that it will go in there, that's the 10mm bolt. And then like I said, I'll probably elongate it probably from there to there. I'll work all that out when I go to do that part. Okay, we've got our 4 bolt holes in, so that's, as you can see, they all definitely fit. There's no problem. They're nice and snug. They're not over tight. They're just a nice snug fit without too much movement. And then what I'll do, I'll get the end mill out, and I'll mark it out exactly how far across I'm going to go, and then from there I'll just I'll actually put a couple of holes into the side of the vertical turret there. And then I can work out exactly where I'll be putting the alloy bar from the side. Okay, just to show you that's the actual plate I've just machined out. Now I've got a set of ER32 collets. That's the box for it. I just thought I'd show you because some people don't see them. And then I've got a set of 18 collets in here, which go right through there. This is the actual mandrel, if you want to call it that goes into the spindle, which goes into the milling machine. That is actually a Morse taper number 3. It's got a thread in the back, and then what I'll be doing is, that's the collet there that I'll be using. That's actually a 910, so you've got a 910 mil or a 1011. The 910 is fairly snug, so I'll do that up, and then I'll bring it back when it's ready to be milled. Alright, we've just finished cutting in the, well, these are 10 mil, so it's 10 mil grooves all the way through. And what I've done is I've pre-drilled some holes already. And that's these ones up here. I've got 4 10 mil holes there. And what I'll do, I'll move it around because it's a bit hard to do it on camera. I'll just put it up there basically and just show you what it's going to look like. Right, so I've put the angle up here. I've left the wheel on, as you can see. Now what will happen here, I've worked out roughly that that'll go in the middle. If not, I can move it sideways, backwards or forwards to have the adjustment done. And then I've got this 50 mil by 25 mil alloy bar, which will sit about there, and that'll be the full length of travel down to the bottom. Now what will happen is, when that's all bolted up and everything, then I'm going to have 2 half sections coming off here with an arm coming off. Then I've got this, it's a white, it's very similar to Delrin, and so that'll be sitting on each side, and that will actually be on each side of the 1 inch or 50 mil bar. And as that goes up and down with the whole assembly, that will actually be supported, so it does move sideways with this particular material. Anyway, my next quest now will be, I'm going to drill some holes in there. I'm going to drop that down probably about 30 mil, and then I'll see if I can get 3 or 4 10 mil by 1.5 bolts in there, which will be bolted from the other side. Yeah, anyway, like I said, it's a bit awkward holding the camera like this, or the phone camera, whatever you want to call it. And then as soon as I've sort of done that, I'll come back. Now I've got a series of punches here, so we'll just see if which one fits the best, then I can line it up properly. The reason I'm doing a 10 mil initial drill, because it gives me a good seating, and I have centre popped it in there already, and I believe the holes are slightly out of alignment when I centre popped it, so if I drill with a bigger drill bit, that'll override what I've already done inside. I hope it will anyway. Virtually using it as a glorified centre drill. Just readjust the, see, every time you put a drill bit, unless it's right in exactly in the right spot, you've always got a slight adjustment to do so. Yeah, that'll give me my 30 mil, 3 centimetre. Now, all things being well and equal, I'll just take the bar out, then I just tap all the rest of the holes and I should be okay. Alright, now that we've got the 4 threads done, just to show that the bolts do go in. Now these are all properly lined up with the alloy plate that I've got that goes up in the corner. Alright, so what we're doing now is, this is the actual plate on the side, which is bolted on. There you go, you can sit in between everything. That is actually bolted on there. It's got 4 10mm bolts, and now this material here, the cast iron is very thin, so you can do them up so much. If you want to, you can put a nut on them. If you have a look, if I can get into it, there's like a little, that hole up there, that one up there, you can actually, you can put your hand up and you put a nut and washer on there if you want to. There's 2 by 1 by 1 it is, virtually. So that goes from there, it goes right down to the bottom, which is down there. Now that is all stationary, that won't move. Now what happens is, this clamp here, as you saw, that was bolted on the side, and that will stick out to about here. Then what we're doing is, because this is only a 1-inch Delrin, so I don't know how that's going to fare once that's going up and down. Whether that's going to flex or not, I don't know. So what I'm going to do is get some 5/16 steel plate, and I'll bolt it from underneath. So what will happen is that will go from underneath, and then there'll be a steel plate underneath, and that will be bolted in here. So that'll stabilize it, and I'll make it a bit longer. And then that part there, which is under 2 inch, like that's 2 inches wide, that piece, or 50mm. Well, this part here has to be under that, because there has to be a very, very snug fit, otherwise it'll move. So what we do as an extra precaution, once that is all cut out, then I'll have a bolt hole drilled through here, and that'll be the full length. And so that'll be probably about a 5/16, or what is that, about 6mm bolt hole, 7mm, something like that. And so what'll happen is, once that's sort of on there fairly snug, because that'll be, well, if you want to know, probably about 1/2 mil under, or 30 thou under, or something like that, to give that real good tension. Then the outside will be clamped on just enough so it can't wobble, so that when that goes up and down, that'll actually go through here, so that'll be stabilized. So that's I'll do that off camera. Then when I go to bolt it up, I'll bring you back. Alright, what we've done so far, I've drilled 4 holes here. Now, as I was saying, I'm going to tap one of them, which will be this one here. Then I'm going to bolt that back up on the column, and then from underneath, that will go underneath that, that will go underneath that, so that I can get all the bolt holes straight through. So I'll actually have 4 bolt holes in there, and then that plate will be underneath to support it, and that'll stop it moving down. So therefore I'm hoping that'll eliminate any possible up or down movement. I've already gone through with the taper tap, so I'll just go finish it off with the plug tap, which is your full depth one. Oh, must be just about right through anyway. So that bolt or bolts will actually, when I've got it all together, will come up through the top, and when they're tight, then I'll be able to trim those off, and then when it gets bolted back up, that'll be all back in the correct section sort of thing. Now what will happen is that will actually bolt back up onto my bracket over there, and that'll actually bolt straight up. So now all I need to do is actually cut out this segment here, which will be going around it, and yeah, it's just about finished. Alright, so what should happen here now, it's supposed to happen anyway, that is how the unit goes back on. And then if I just throw this back in here for a sec. Now the way it's designed, I've got the metal plate underneath, and then the nylon will go to the top, and then that'll just bolt up. As you can see, I've milled out a small section out of here, And also I've got my alloy plate under there. What I'll have to do is actually cut that out separate. It's just that just too noisy for it to do it like that. Now this 50mm wide section of alloy, that will actually fit in between these lines, well, thereabouts. Have to give at least, I'm not sure exactly, but it's going to be 20-30 thou on each side, so it'll compress onto that bar or not, or 1/2 mil, whatever it is. But anyway, what I'll do, I'm going to cut that out. I'm going to separate all this now. I'm going to cut all this out properly so it's a really good fitting onto the bar. Then I'll do the same with the other one. So our base metal here, that's one that supports the other material, Delrin. So I've given that just a fraction clearance so you can hear. That's probably 1/2 mil on each side or thereabouts. Whereas the Delrin will be on top with a tight fit. As you can see, I've got my wheel off again. Now I've cleaned these slots up a bit, like these ones and the ones on the other side, so it's sliding, it's more adjustable and stuff. I've just got it just barely sitting there at the moment. Now I've got my well, it's 50mm by 25 by 25, but anyway, or 2" by 1" by 1", close enough. And it's in metric, it was a 600 metre length, right, and I've cut 20mm off, so you work out the maths. Why not, if you want to get one. Now on the back here, if I can get around here, what I've done is I've got 4 holes there. You can put 2, 3, 4, whatever you like, you know. Now because I'm using 10mm, a lot of people are using 5/16 or what's that, 8mm, something like that, and it's also slotted there so you can adjust it like that, in and out, whatever. So at the moment I've got it cut up. I'm just tightening everything up. I'm just adjusting that. Now when you adjust the length, make sure that you've got the head, this whole head assembly, as far down as it'll go. At the moment, because I've used a 25mm plate or 1" plate, and that one, this particular one, is actually high tense, it's 4140, but you can use mild steel, you can use aluminium, aluminum, whatever you want to call it, doesn't really matter, long as you've got a spacer there that's bolted there. And also on the other side over here, as you can see, yeah. Anyway, it's bolted there, so I've got it right down, so it's pretty well bottoming up here. And then over here, if you see, there's just, I've got a bit of clearance there. You can have more or less, it doesn't matter. The biggest thing is when it comes up, you don't want it coming out of this bush assembly, or the guide assembly is a better word for it. So because I want to put some other stuff on there later on, then you need the full length treble, so that'll go right up to the top, up to that top end, which means all of that should still be underneath here. Anyway, what I'm going to do, I haven't done it yet, I'm still going to drill a hole through here, and there'll be a bolt going right through, something like that type of thing, You only need it just to be able to tension it slightly if you need to, but I'll come back on that. Otherwise I'll keep on bolting it up and adjusting it, because you have to adjust all your angles. So you've got a vertical type of thing, so it has to be vertical this way and it has to be vertical this way. Alright, we've got the whole assembly on now. As you can see, I've had to offset the vise, of course, but because so that can come right down. That's the new bracket here. That's the tension bolt, and that's another tension bolt. Now this one here, it's got the I'll bring it around a bit here so you can see it. I still need to cut off the length of this bolt, which is not a problem. But anyway, so you tension it on there, so when I move the actual machine, so when I shake that, there's no movement whatsoever there as far as I can see, and if there was, I just tighten up the nut on the back. So anyway, what we've got is that's coming round from the side here, as I showed you earlier. That's all bolted completely up. That's full tension along here. That's bolted like I showed you earlier. It's got 2 bolts on this side, 2 on the other side on the steel plate there, and then they bolt the whole assembly on. I've only just put the alloy plate up underneath so as to stop any possible bowing up and down. So that's that part, and I can bring it onto my, well, that's only a standard little battery drill, so that's bringing it up and down. So what I'll do is I'll lift it right up first. Whoops. It'd be an idea to put on the right side, wouldn't it? Yeah, so you can see that going up. So that is in a complete vertical position now, and I've got about, well, from there to there, I've still got a fair bit of material left under there, so that could have gone high if I needed to. And so that's that part there. If I bring it right down, and it's just coming straight down, so there's no problem with that. Now that's coming, now that has pretty well bottomed, right, that's bottomed out underneath there now, and you've still got that clearance down the bottom, so that's still sitting in the bush up here, so everything appears to be going really well. And you can see, whoops, see, you know, I can shake the machine, there's no movement whatsoever that I can see. Well, that pretty well covers it. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.